Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
7:07 on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here to our morning program. Coming up in 30 minutes, Steve Moore, economist, will join us on yesterday's big numbers for the GDP and the lack of break on interest rates from the Fed. 8:05 brings us KT McFarland, and at 8:35, Tim Carney, Washington Examiner. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock. Morning, Julie.
Good morning. I was just talking with our producer. Sorry if I was a little distracted. It's the drink kicking in there, Larry.
Yeah, we want to keep warning everyone that if you enjoy Celsius as your caffeine delivery system, the manufacturer has announced that inexplicably and without any sort of explanation, somehow some of the Celsius that you might get off the shelf will actually contain the alcoholic High Noon beverage.
And I'm on my third this morning. Woohoo!
Let's go! Like you needed an excuse.
Yes.
Charlie Spiering is our guest now. He, of course, writes for the Daily Mail, and he was the author of the book Amateur Hour, Kamala Harris in the White House. But, of course, she's not in the White House as president. Thank God. She announced yesterday that she's not running for governor of California. So there you go, Charlie Spiering. You won't have Kamala Harris to kick around anymore.
Yeah, Larry. Thanks for having me on. For the first time in 20 years, Kamala Harris will not be running for public office. And it's really a unique moment in not only California politics, but certainly in national politics as well.
Is this because she wants to leave her options open to run for president?
Well, I think absolutely. I think when she turns down the California race, it shows that she feels like that's beneath her, right? It's not just that she would struggle in a crowded primary of Democrats to pull it out. I think ultimately she kind of sees that it's going back to the state where she began her career and going backwards from the position she achieved as vice president. And so, she's just not ready to sort of go backwards. She's looking forward.
But there's a risk in that too, Charlie, because look, everybody has talked about how the bench is not deep, right? If we're talking about Wes Moore being the best they have, right?
Oh, and Pete Buttigieg.
And Mayor Pete. I mean, my God. Right. So that could give the Democrat Party some time to sort of nurture younger people or, new up-and-comers. I don't know, maybe Mom Donnie. That'd be great. But what about that risk? Because she will be forgotten quickly. People, generally didn't like her. And so what is she going to do for 4 years? Just sit quietly and wait while, again, the Democrats develop other candidates.
Well, exactly, Julie. That's why her statement says, for now, she's just going to be listening to the people and see what they want. That's sort of a placeholder. She still has good name recognition. She still sort of polls among the top candidates who might be ready to launch a campaign. But yes, it's too early at this moment. She realizes it's too early at the moment. And I actually think that she's kind of enjoying the time off. We haven't really seen her too much publicly. When she does speak, it's very much, sort of kind of blasé, typical political statements about staying involved in the fight. But when you watch her speak, she really doesn't seem like she's engaged in the fight. Seems like she's really enjoying some time off, time with family, time to sort of sit back and take stock of everything that's going on. And she's got a lot of options in her future. Now, national Democrats kind of wanted her to run for governor of California, so she'd be out of the way. There's still a lot of national Democrats who thought it was a huge mistake to go with Kamala in 2024 and that they don't want to see her back. But at this point, I think, there's been rumors that she's working on a political memoir, so she could be getting that ready, writing that, working on some drafts on that. And then, next year around midterm season or maybe shortly afterwards, that political memoir will come out, and then she'll go on a media tour, and then we'll see if Democrats or even any Americans are still interested in the idea of a President Kamala Harris.
Oh, how excited are you? I could hear it in your voice to get a memoir from Kamala Harris. You are ready to go through that one line by line. Charlie, so interesting what you just said there, and that she wants to take some time for herself and really sort of reflect. So I somewhat cynically said in our 5 o'clock hour when we were discussing this earlier in the program that she doesn't want to be governor of California because there's actually a lot of hard work involved with that job. It's not, let's face it, when you're vice president, you can kind of phone it in, and she did kind of phone it in. Her job for 4 years as vice president was to just be Kamala Harris. And you can sort of say the same thing about the U.S. Senate. Not attorney general, there's work involved there. And I think she knows that it's a heavy lift. Am I being too cynical to suggest that she's not interested in actually getting sort of her hands dirty, actually doing the hard work of being a governor of a state?
I think that's right, Larry. I think that, taking that executive role in a state like California that's already struggling through so many big issues, that's not really a springboard to the presidency, right, as Gavin Newsom is sort of starting to understand. He still believes he can be president someday, but he's still got a heavy lift after his record in California. So I think maybe she views that as a political dead end, and for good reason.
So what do you expect to see next? If she is going to run for president, how soon does she have to start shoring that up and getting donors in line and all of that jazz?
Well, so the buzz is already going on, but you'll see it more after the midterms. It depends how she runs, how she participates in the midterms. Will she be out there fighting for candidates? Will she be out there delivering sort of barn burner speeches? And will Democrats retake the House? You kind of need that political momentum. Right now, every time she's come out, typically Democrats kind of groan and wishes she would go away. Every time they see her, they remember what a miserable election it was, and how the Joe Biden running again was a huge mistake, and she played a significant part in that.
Excuse me, I don't. It was Brat Summer. She brought joy back to the country. What are you talking about?
Coconut tree?
Yes.
I'm so glad, Larry, that you still believe in Brat Summer.
Yeah.
I'll always have my Brat.
Is there anyone, my God, the Democrat Party and the people they have in these leadership positions are just surrounded by sycophants who it seems to be never honest with them about what really needs to be done. Is there anyone sort of advising her that would tell her, you really weren't liked, and you really are going to drag...
How do you do that? How do you say?
I could do it.
People hate you, Kamala.
Give me two high noons, and I am good to go. But Charlie, is there? Who is the person? Also, who's going to tell Wes Moore your smile isn't going to be enough? Like, who do you see as emerging as sort of someone in the Democrat Party who's setting everyone straight and saying maybe that doesn't exist? Maybe they're all just in a fantasy world.
Well, for the California decision, a big voice was former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, who actually said last week on a podcast that he didn't think that Kamala Harris, it would be difficult for her to win a campaign for governor. And that kind of smoked Kamala out to finally make her decision, because people were wondering what was taking so long.
Yeah.
And then Willie Brown said in the podcast, he thought that, businessman Rick Caruso would make a better governor. And lo and behold, he meets with Willie Brown, and not necessarily a Democrat in the state, but someone that he thought could win for governor. So very interesting that you did have that sort of party elder sort of push her out of the race, even though she wasn't that interested to begin with.
Wow, it's strange that Willie Brown, he was the mayor of San Francisco, he was the longtime minority or Democrat leader in the state assembly there in Sacramento, that he would come out and say that about Kamala Harris. Is there any history there that we should know about? Is there any?
Yeah, a little bit of political history. He was a longtime political mentor, and also
was that
had
what they
a personal
call it?
relationship with Kamala Harris.
Dear.
Hey,
a political
Larry,
mentor.
It's all chronicled in an amazing book I wrote about Kamala Harris.
It is, in
go.
fact,
There
all
you go.
chronicled. That's the pullout portion of the book. It's called Amateur Hour, Kamala Harris in the White House. And yes, the story of how she got there did involve Willie Brown to certain levels of participation and mentorship, and you should read it in the book by Charlie Spiering, a good guy and always a fun guest. Thanks, Charlie.
You bet, Larry. Anytime.
7:15. Yeah, he brought her into the business. He raised her from
Yeah, okay.
when she was she was little. She was she barely came up to his knees.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Well, believe it or not, we're on the verge of August 1st, and that means, well, you got to start thinking about back to school time. Yes, I know. Wait, did you just, like,
I
do a
wooed.
Homer Simpson cheer?
I did.
No, you
yes,
love having
because
your
they're
boys
in my
the
house all the time.
You love having them just lounging like potatoes on the sofa
God.
and playing video games and not doing a damn thing and
Yeah,
having that
if you all have
boy
noticed,
sort
my
of...
voice has been a little scratchy. It's all the yelling.
That was what... At least you got them doing all the yard work, right?
Kind of. I get it. There's a lot of yelling. That's all I'll say.
Well, as you think about going back to school, of course, in my home, when I was a little kid, we homeschooled most of our kids up until a certain age. So usually back to school time meant that we had to restock our own sort of schoolroom in our house,
Sure.
right, to instruct our kids, get the books, all that stuff. But for a lot of people going to a more standardized school setup, it means you got to go do the pilgrimage or maybe utilize Amazon to stock up on all the supplies. And we now have a delightful little rant from a teacher who does that. Why did teachers think this is a good look when you know that they're in charge of your children? Here's the thing: you want a teacher to have some emotional stability and be able to have some level of just a tiny bit, right?
Just a
but
little.
Here she is going on a rant on TikTok because parents aren't properly stocking their kids with supplies. Listen.
Just so we're clear, I'm expected to take a bullet for little Johnny and his classmates. But little Johnny's mother does not see it fit to provide for the community with some Clorox wipes, some tissues, maybe an extra pack of pencils. Like that's what we're going with right now. I have to make the ultimate sacrifice for the community, the school. But little Johnny's mother does not think that she has to make any sacrifices for the community. I just want to make sure I'm clear on this.
Why have we reached the point where teachers pretend like they're like in the Marine Corps infantry on the front lines in a
it's all
foxhole?
COVID. Remember, Larry? It was like they're the most, these are those same people who got the shot, literally shoved grandma out of the way and then got the shot before and then refused to go back into the classroom. Also, I love how she only mentions Johnny's mom. Like, where's Johnny's dad, honey? Where's Johnny's dad, right? This is probably a feminist who gets really worked up about that kind of stuff, but then prattles on like this. You know what? The average cost of the public schools is in Alexandria, Virginia, around $20,000, okay, of my property rights. And I know we've got another clip on here of a woman, $20,000 per student. That is more expensive than a lot of private schools in the area, okay? Every year, $20,000 for the public schools in Alexandria, Virginia, out of my tax. It's not free. It's out of my property taxes, okay? And they can't pick up a 6-pack of pencils. Well, give me a break.
This is a really interesting phenomenon that I did not experience with my kids, but apparently this is definitely a phenomenon now and certainly in this area, that at back to school time, the school actually sends you a list or in some cases a bill saying we expect you to bring all these things. Like when I was a kid, yes, I had to bring my own pencils and...
No, you have to supply everything. Tissues, markers, whiteboard erasers. There's like everything. And now a very smart company has put it all in a box and you can just buy the $100 box.
But whiteboard erasers, that's not for your kids' use. That's for the teachers' use.
Again, I have a lot of sympathy for this argument, honestly. I mean, I have never failed to provide that list to the school, right? You go in the first day, you drop off the kids' supplies, you say hi to the teacher. I've never failed to do that. But now I hear this really smart woman who's taking it on from a property rights perspective. I know we're going to play
take a listen to this lady who replied.
So I'm going to say this since no other parent is saying it. And I'm definitely qualified because I have 5 children. I have 2 sets of twins and a teenager.
Wow.
I'm a parent who does not buy school supplies. Yeah, you heard me right. I do not buy school supplies. And let me tell y'all why. For one instance, I buy all this school supplies for my kids. They take some of it to school, and the teachers take all of the supplies and tell the kids don't write their names on it. What? That's supplies that I bought my kids. And no offense, I'm not trying to share with no other kids. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to share, okay? And this was before the economy got bad. I bought it just for my kids, okay?
All right. The debate continues, though.
Well, I will say this. You know, my kids are in private school now, and you know, one school in particular that my kids go to, you know, they instead of doing it all wrapped into one, they do these fees, and it is really hard for people to afford these fees that come up. You know, At least the public schools, they pay up kind of once, right? They say we need some supplies, and as far as that woman saying, you know, like I want my kid. You can't do that with a box of tissues, right? You can't only allow one kid to use a dry eraser to clean the boards.
But again, I thought that was part of the budget of the school.
But what I think
that we're paying for.
The better point is that when it's
where's the money
when your property taxes are contributing to the $18,000, $36,000 for if they have an IEP or their special needs,
and then you got to spend another $15,000 on supplies that should be worked into the budget of the school.
Yeah.
We had tissues in our classroom, and the school provided those.
That's right.
It's 7:24.
Coming up, we're going to talk to Steve Moore. Keep it here. It's 7:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
7:37. Thanks for tuning in to our little morning get-together known as O'Connor and Company. We give you all the news and headlines and analysis and hopefully some entertainment, too, so you can start the day with a spring in your step the right way. Coming up at 8:05, KT McFarland will be our guest. 8:35, Tim Carney, Washington Examiner. I'm Larry O'Connor. That's Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Morning, Julie. Can we talk about money, please?
Always happy to.
Good. Oh, I missed this song. Did you know Amazon Prime is now showing the back episodes of Apprentice?
Oh, yeah, they have been for a while, I think, right?
Yes, it was such a good show. CNBC for a while there had Apprentice reruns in the evening, and then when Trump ran for president, they pulled all the episodes. So stupid.
Of course.
But now it's on Prime.
Nothing to humanize him, yeah.
All right, so you'll remember a while back, President Trump gave his expert and reasoned and intellectual analysis of Jerome Powell's job as the chairman of the Fed. He put it this way, cut 24.
So we have a stupid person, frankly, at the Fed.
There you go. That nails it. Steve Moore is our guest. He's a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation, co-founder of Unleash Prosperity, and also his book is The Trump Economic Miracle. Given all of that and given the GDP numbers yesterday, Steve Moore, why did we not get some relief on interest rates?
Well, good morning, guys. First of all, speaking of something that has a spring in its step, oh my God, the American economy is really starting to boom, and we did get a really good GDP number yesterday. Yeah. For those who haven't heard it, at 3%. Now, the numbers were a little bit misleading because we didn't see the big investment increase, and that's what really drives future growth. Mostly it was driven by a reduction in imports as a result of the tariffs. But nonetheless, it was a strong report.
That's not a bad thing, is it? I mean, but
I've always questioned that. We could have a long discussion about that. But, if people are buying less imports, I guess that's not a bad thing, but I don't understand why that contributes to GDP. But nonetheless, it was a strong report. And by the way, one of the more important things in that report is it showed that government spending is basically flat now, which is a good thing. Remember, under Biden, we get these, 2.5% economic growth, and most of the growth was just due to the massive increase in government spending and debt.
Right, it was borrowing money from future generations. Anybody can do that. That's not real.
Very good, Larry. I'm impressed.
Thank you. Well, I have to step up from last time, yeah.
There you go. So now on Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell has been the most political Fed chairman probably in history, even though the left loves him. Do you know that Time Magazine almost made him their man of the year, and he was just beat out by, unfortunately, Taylor Swift had a better year than he did, so he finished in second place. But no, here's something that if people question my saying that, so then they have to explain why is it that last year, about 6 weeks before the election, Larry and Julie, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, cut interest rates, even though inflation was still pretty high. And now inflation is lower, and he won't cut interest rates. And I think the answer to that is he hates Trump. He put his thumb on the scale right before the election, trying to pump money into the economy, right before the election. And luckily that didn't work. And now he won't cut rates. So that takes some explaining.
One other thing from this report that we're seeing is that private business investment has slowed, and that's a little bit concerning. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're right. It is a little concerning. However, remember, this covers, the numbers from April through July. And these numbers, just look at what's been announced in the last few weeks with literally hundreds of billions of dollars of investment being committed by some of these countries. And by the way, do you guys remember back about 3 months ago when the Europeans said, I'm never going to make a deal with Donald Trump. We hate Donald Trump. We're never going to go to the negotiating table with him. Well, what happened this week? Whatever that lady's name was, you all seen the picture of her signing the deal with Trump because she was kind of grimacing when she was doing it. Yeah. But Trump is really very effectively, guys, using America's economic power. He's flexing our economic muscle, putting America first, and forcing these countries one after another to make these deals. And as you know, Larry, I'm not a big tariff guy. It kind of makes me nervous when Trump talks about tariffs. But I have to say, he's scored some pretty good deals with these countries, forcing them. All my free trade friends out there, yeah, we don't like tariffs, but if he's using the threat of tariffs to force other countries to lower their tariffs on us, that's a good thing.
So if you see that and I see that and the foreign countries see that, I'm sorry to bring it back to Jerome Powell, but why can't he see that? It seems like the rationale for yesterday's hold on interest rates was the uncertainty over tariffs, that they still believe, they still predict, based on their surveys of manufacturers, that it's going to have an adverse effect and prices are going to go up, and so therefore we're going to hold tight. Instead of projecting and hoping and thinking and predicting, how about you actually react to the real-time economy, and then if things do end up changing the way you think it might, then you can always go back and raise rates, or am I being naive?
No, that's just way too logical. Come on. Why would they have, do you know they have 300 PhD economists over there at the Fed? 300.
Oh, well, that explains the problem.
Yeah, exactly. So they got their computers running. So they don't listen to common sense. They have their stupid computer models that tell them X, Y, and Z. And incidentally, boy, I do you think that Jerome Powell is going to have a hot tub in his new office with that $3 billion?
Yeah, seems
spending?
like it. Maybe
what we're calling the Taj Mahal on Pennsylvania Avenue.
An on-call masseuse. Listen, given all of that, Steve.
By the way, did you see Trump's line? He had a great line. He said, "Yeah, I could have probably renovated he said, well, the new price is $3.1 billion. He said, I could have probably renovated for that for about $3 billion less."
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So, is there – you just said he was the most political Fed chair, and we keep hearing, you can't fire him because that would, insult the and whittle away at the integrity of the independence of the Fed. Well, everybody sees that he's acting politically, so isn't it Jerome Powell who is actually undermining the independence of the Fed?
Great point. Very good point again, Larry. You're just knocking them out of the park this morning. It is. It is very true. That he is political, and yet keeps talking about, I have to safeguard the political independence of the Fed. He has not been independent. He hates Trump. The two of them don't like each other. Let's face that. Yeah. And so I think what Trump will do is I think he's going to name someone like me, Steve Moore, not to rule the world. No, just kidding. I think it'll be.
I'm all in for that, Steve.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Only if I can visit the hot tub in your office.
There you go. Yeah, that's that. Because of that, I'd probably take the job. But he will nominate somebody. Probably my friend Kevin Hassett, or maybe how about Art Laffer or Larry Kudlow, or somebody who actually understands how the economy works. And that will happen, I think, in the matter of a couple of weeks or months. Remember, his term is up in, I think it's in May of next year. So just
Kevin
wait him
Hassett
out.
would
And
be
then
great.
and then just put the pressure on him to leave, because he's a dead man walking right now. But I do want to warn people, too many of my conservative friends say, all we have to do, and even Trump is to some extent, all you have to do is lower interest rates and everything will be wonderful for the economy. And that's not necessarily true. I think the one thing that we have to remember is that when the Fed lowers rates, what it does, Larry and Julie, is it pumps more money into the economy. And Trump loves that because he's an old real estate guy and he likes low interest rates. But the one thing that could trip up the Trump economy, and right now things are going really, really well, is if we see a resumption of Biden inflation. So I'm more of a kind of an inflation hawk. I want to make sure we don't see those, going to the grocery store and going to the gas pump and seeing the prices rise every time you go. So there is a potential cost of lowering rates right now. But if I were the Fed chairman, I would have cut them by 25 or 50 basis points right now. Trump wants 200 basis points.
Right.
I think that
Well, because he wants to free up capital for all the new factories that are going to be built and the equipment that's going to be built. They can, by the way, get written off in the first year because of the new.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, do you remember, Larry and Julie, 3 or 4 months ago when Donald Trump is going to cause a second Great Depression? The stock market is going to crash.
Yes, I have fond memories of that. He
people.
ruined a perfectly good economy. Yeah, I know. Hey, Steve, real fast, you mentioned Kevin Hassett. Yeah. He's a martial arts black belt or something. Is it Taekwondo or Judo or something? Did you know that about him?
Is that Kevin Hassett you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
he is. He actually threw me to the ground one time. Somebody said, and I said, I know. I've got a few inches on him, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'll show you." And he did a demonstration. We were waiting for for some foreign dignitary to come into a meeting at CPAC, and I said, "Oh well, all right." I was stupid, and the next thing I know, I'm flat on my back on the ground, looking up at Trump's chief economic advisor.
Well, he's going to need those skills when he takes on all these other central bankers. And Larry, congratulations! I've always given you about a B or a C on economics. Today, you earned an A.
Oh, wow.
I'm speechless. It's the only A I've ever gotten in my life, actually. Thank you for that.
WMAL's Vince Colonnese, weekdays at noon on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Well, we've got an update on the Katy Perry-Justin Trudeau romance.
Thank God.
The former Prime Minister of Canada was seen front and center at her sold-out Lifetimes tour in Canada. At one point, busted out some dance moves with his 16-year-old daughter, and he seemed absolutely entranced by Katy Perry at a concert that is really geared toward, teenage girls, which I guess makes sense because Justin Trudeau is kind of mentally and socially and culturally a teenage girl when he's not wearing blackface. Somebody on X sort of reposted the picture of him saying brother must be really, really down bad if he's willing to go to a Lifetimes concert. That's true love right there.
That is. Good luck to them.
There it is.
Good luck to them. There you go.
I had a crush on Katy Perry for a while there.
You did? Ew.
Oh,
She's a nut.
Before she actually
allegedly
started talking. Yeah. No, she's a nut. You don't have to. I think that's fair. But, who wouldn't want to marry an astronaut? That's pretty cool. 7:54.